Hello there, good afternoon. This is L24 World News Program, and these are your headlines. Sri Lankan lawmakers choose six-time Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as President Wednesday. Heat waves scorching Europe fell northward to Britain and fueled vicious wildfire in Spain and France, while Texas wildfire to continue growing. European customers are still looking for an alternative of Russian gas, which has been cut for more than 10 days for maintenance purposes. Sudanese security forces fired tear gas as thousands of Hausa protesters marched in central Khartoum. Hello again and welcome. I'm your host Abdulrahim Kashur, and those were today's top stories. First, in our topical stories, Sri Lanka lawmakers choose six-time Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as President Wednesday to succeed the overthrown leader who fled the country in a vote that risked another political turmoil in the troubled South Asian island. This last move of the Sri Lankan parliament has seen a wide opposition and protest in the country as a large number of citizens took to the streets to show their rejection of the last political move that put the 73-year-old Prime Minister as the successor of the fled President Rajapaksa until the end of his term in 2024. Fire spreads rapidly in UK and being fought by around 100 firefighters. As a result, UK sees temperature rise above 40 Celsius for the first time in history. On the other hand, France is facing heat waves in the southwest, with firefighters battling wildfires and thousands forced to evacuate. Wildfires ranging from the south to Galicia in far northwest, where blazes have destroyed around 4,500 hectares of land. On the other side, members of Greek police evacuate houses near the fire, which extend to the foot of Mount Pantil north of Athens and threatens homes. In the same line of thought, a heat wave arose in Europe, fell northward to Britain and fueled vicious wildfire in Spain and France, which evacuate thousands of people and scrambled water-bombing planes and firefighters to battle flames in tinder-dry forests. Rob Leo.
Across Western Europe, there were signs of what French authorities warned may be a heat apocalypse. Amid surging wildfires, more than 1,500 people were evacuated from their homes in France, according to the French Interior Ministry. The EU said it was monitoring closely wildfire ranging in southern member states, sending a firefighting plane to Slovenia over the weekend, adding to recent deployments to France and Portugal.
The Commission continues to work tirelessly to mobilize help to those in need. Now, in addition to the firefighting airplanes mobilized to Portugal, France and Albania last week, the Commission deployed another plane from Croatia to Slovenia over the weekend to battle a fire in Nova Gorica.
In Britain, airport runways melted and trains were slowed out of fear for buckling steel tracks. Meteorologists suggested that Tuesday could be the hottest day ever recorded in some parts of the British Isles. Over the past week, there have been more than 1,000 heat-linked deaths in Spain and Portugal. Hospitals are straining as they also cope with the renewed surge in coronavirus cases. Hydrologists are warning of the deeper effect of widespread drought, shrinking water tables and bad harvests.
This summer will be really serious challenge for us all, for the national authorities, as well as for us as coordinating the response. Last summer was bad already. And last summer we had 9 activations of the Union Civil Protection Mechanism for forest fires. This year we already have had 5, and the height of the summer is still ahead of us.
The EU researchers also warned that the lack of water and strong heat are driving COP yields lower in the countries. Weather forecasts predict more than the same, adding to an already very critical situation that will exacerbate the effects on agriculture, energy, and water supply.
Fire officials expect that Texas wildfire to continue growing amid sweltering temperatures and dry conditions. Mary Leda, spokeswoman for Texas Forest Service, stated that the wildfire in Somerville County has grown to 4,000 acres, with expectations that 100 million citizens are going to face an unprecedented heat wave for the next several days, which makes containing the fire difficult.
The fire currently, if you'll let me refer to my notes, is estimated at 4,000 acres. Once again, that's an estimation. Today, we plan to fly the fire in hopes of getting a more situational awareness, how big the fire is, what direction it's going, if we've had any structure loss, those type of things. With our forecast today, I expect to see some growth in the fire.
In Asia, China has accused the United States of taking security risk and disrupting the stability of the Taiwan Strait. This comes after Washington said a guided missile destroyer through the waterway earlier this week. The United States regularly sends naval patrols through the 180-kilometer wide Taiwan Strait to show support for the island. Ukraine's parliament dismissed the domestic security chief and prosecutor general on Tuesday, 2 days after President Volodymyr Zelensky suspended this letter for failing to root out Russian spies. The head of Zelensky's political faction said that Irina Vandiktova had also been voted as a prosecutor general who played a key role in the prosecution of Russian war crimes. The First Lady of the United States, President Jill, and Joe Biden welcomed the First Lady of Ukraine in the White House. Olena Zelensky visited the White House to address Congress on Wednesday in a speech aiming to support Ukraine following a meeting with Joe Biden. White House and National Security Council spokesman John Kirby claimed that Russia intends to hold puppet referendums in Ukrainian territories that have come under its control in recent months. Seizing territories by force would constitute an obvious violation of the UN Charter, and we will not allow to go this unchallenged or unpunished.
We're also going to continue to expose Russian plans so the world knows that any purported annexation is premeditated, illegal, and illegitimate. And we are sanctioning the Russian-installed puppets and proxies in areas of Ukraine that are under Russian control.
The head of the regional military administration said that 3 people were killed in the northern Ukrainian city of Wednesday. This comes as Ukrainian forces have struck a seriously damaged bridge that is key for supplying Russian troops in southern Ukraine, a regional official said today. During the Tehran summit, the Russian President Vladimir Putin claimed on Tuesday Ukraine refused to respect agreements that had been virtually reached during talks in Turkey in March. Talks in Iran was a chance for Mr. Putin to deepen ties with regional leaders as part of Moscow's challenge to the United States and Europe amid its grinding campaign in Ukraine.
The final result depends not on the mediators but on the desire of contracting parties to implement reached agreements. We are seeing today that Kiev's authorities do not have this desire.
На двусторонней встрече с президентом Турции господином Эрдоганом
We will assist in the export of Ukrainian grain, but we proceed from the fact that all restrictions on the export of Russian grain will be lifted. We have reached a preliminary agreement on that with international organizations, which have taken the labor to turn it all into a package. No one, including our American partners, has objected so far. Let's see how it all evolves in the nearest time.
состоявшейся 13 июля встречи на этот счет в Стамбуле.
President of the Russian Federation, Mr. Vladimir Putin, stated that in his last speech that the Nord Stream first gas supplies pipeline is ready to resume its gas delivery to Europe on time on Thursday. This comes at a time when European customers are still looking for an alternative of the Russian gas, which has been cut for more than 10 days for maintenance purposes. Osama Iyadi has more to clarify.
Russian gas flows via the Nord Stream 1 pipeline are likely to restart on time on Thursday, after the completion of scheduled maintenance and the suspension of gas delivery to European customers. However, this time the gas supply is expected to be lower than the full capacity.
Now 2 turbines are working, pumping 60 million cubic meters of gas a day. If one turbine comes very well, there will be 2 turbines working. If it doesn't come, only one will be working. There will be only 30 million cubic meters a day. One should count how much can be pumped during the remaining half a year.
Russian President Vladimir Putin said Tuesday it is the West's own fault that the flow of gas has dwindled and warned that the situation could continue. This cranked up pressure on the European Union, which fears Russia could cut off gas to wreak economic and political havoc in Europe in the winter as a retaliation to the West's sanctions against Moscow. Russia could also launch a recently completed Nord Stream 2 pipeline. However, Putin noted that it would have only half of its designated capacity because the rest has been used for domestic needs, while Gazprom was probably to shut another turbine for repairs in late July.
What does Gazprom have to do with this? They have shut down one route, then another, put the sanctions on the gas pumping stations. Gazprom is ready to pump as much as needed. They have shut down everything themselves.
EU countries and mainly Germany are still living fears of total gas cut by the Russian Federation. As a further measure by German government, Chancellor Olaf Scholz was expected to discuss buying liquefied natural gas from Egypt.
As far as the supply of gas and prospectively also hydrogen is concerned, those do fit well into the very long industrial relationship that Germany and Egypt have with each other, very much based on the great engineering capacities that Germany has with its traditional companies, which have always invested in the country's infrastructure and have been involved there.
EU countries are facing another issue with climate change environmental activists who warn that recent efforts by countries such as Germany to tap new sources of fossil fuels could undermine countries' already fragile climate actions.
Turkish president discussed his case for a military offensive against Syria's Kurds at a summit in Tehran Tuesday, despite Iran's and Russia's opposition, and Iran signs an energy deal with Russia. Miriam Zian tackles the story.
A trilateral summit gathering Russia, Iran and Turkey was held in Tehran as part of the Astana format of talks related to Syria. The summit on Syria was also an opportunity for a rapprochement between Iran and Russia. At the Tehran summit, the Turkish president wanted to overcome Iranian and Russian objections to Turkey's military operation in Syria.
Tel Rifat and Manbij have become hotbeds for terrorists. It is high time to clean up these places of refuge for the terrorist organization. We expect our partners in Astana to give sincere support to our efforts to restore stability in Syria.
Erdogan accuses outlawed Kurdish militants of using the border region as a staging post for their decades-long insurgency against Turkey. In a meeting with Putin, Tehran urged strengthened energy cooperation with Moscow and called for a stronger long-term collaboration as both countries are afflicted by Western sanctions. Prior to Putin's arrival, only his second since the beginning of the military operation in Ukraine, the national Iranian oil company in Russia's Gazprom signed a memorandum of understanding worth about $40 billion. Putin and Erdogan also held a bilateral meeting, where the Russian president said he wanted to thank his Turkish counterpart for progress on talks over Ukraine's grain, as Turkey has spearheaded efforts to resume the grain deliveries.
I want to thank you for the mediation efforts and for providing a negotiating platform on food issues and grain exports.
It is worth recalling that the meeting came just days after Biden's trip to the Middle East, which shows that the world is shifting from unipolarism.
Inflation in the United Kingdom has accelerated to a new 40-year high driven by rising food and fuel prices that are contributing to a cost of living crisis. This comes while Conservative Party leadership has narrowed into 3 candidates, with another vote to be held today afternoon. Nabil Khazini.
With temperatures in the United Kingdom hitting an all-time record, inflation also hit a fresh rise. Prices have again increased to 9.4%, a level not reached for 42 years. To help control inflation, the Bank of England governor said Tuesday that it is likely to consider rising interest rates by 0.5 percentage point at its next meeting. The conflict in Ukraine has boosted food and energy prices around the world. This has added to rising prices that began last year as the global economy started to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. The United Kingdom is now in a transitional phase with the Prime Minister ruling for his last 7 weeks, and another leader of the Conservative Party will be chosen, and thus a new Prime Minister. The race has narrowed even tighter yesterday. It is now down to 3 candidates.
Badenoch, 59 votes. Mordaunt, 92 votes. Sunak, 118 votes. Truss, 86 votes. There was one spoiled ballot paper. We had a full turn, we had one vote not cast. So, Kemi Badenoch is eliminated from the election.
After the latest vote knocked Badenoch out, former Treasury Chief Rishi Sunak led the shrinking field of candidates and had all but secured his place in the final pair. Another vote will take place today, which will leave just 2 candidates remaining. The last runners will not face each other in a televised debate, following the damage the previous debates have done to the image of the party after exposing disagreements and splits between the leading candidates.
The Italian Prime Minister, Mr. Mario Draghi, left his resignation decision hanging in the Parliament on Wednesday, but insisted that his coalition partners remain united if they wanted him to stay in office. Draghi outlined a number of concerns confronting Italy, including the situation in Ukraine, social injustice, and rising costs. He urged political parties to support him if he was to lead the nation through elections scheduled for the first half of 2023.
The only solution if we still want to stay together is to rebuild this pact from the foundations with courage, altruism and credibility.
President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, received the hands of the companies Occidental Petroleum, Eni and Total Energies, having signed a new hydrocarbon contract with Sonatrach Group. The hearing took place at the headquarters of the Presidency of the Republic in Algiers with the presence of the Director of Cabinet at Presidency of the Republic, Mr. Abdelaziz Khalif, the Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Arqab, and the CEO of Sonatrach, Tawfiq Hakkar.
Vicky Holub with Occidental Petroleum, and I stand here today happy to tell the world that we have signed a contract today to extend our activity here in Algeria with our partners Sonatrach, Eni, and Total Energies.
Sonatrach has signed one of the biggest contracts of the trimester in collaboration with Occidental, Total, and Eni companies. The new collaboration portrays Algeria's effort to develop and encourage foreign investment.
Sonatrach and its partners Occidental Petroleum, Eni and Total Energies signed a hydrocarbons production sharing contract, extending control over 2 blocks in Algeria's Birkin Basin. The contract comes under Algeria's new hydrocarbon laws, approved in 2019, and is part of the Memorandum of Understanding concluded between Sonatrach and its partners January last year. Oxy CEO Vicky Holub visited Algerian Minister of Energy and Mines Mohamed Arqab in early July for the first time.
We believe this is a very momentous occasion for Occidental and for Algeria, because we truly believe that this country has vast resources yet to be developed. And we believe that working together with our partners, Eni and Total Energies, we're going to, in Sonatrach, we're going to have the capability to unlock some new and exciting things here in Algeria.
For his part, Eni CEO Claudio Descalzi highlighted the strategic partnership with Sonatrach aimed at long-term investments in Algeria to maximize asset value. Similarly, Total's Senior Vice President for the Middle East and North Africa, Laurent Vivier, said the signing marked a new milestone in the strategic partnership with Sonatrach. All parties sharing the contract are committed to pursue the development and exploitation of the perimeter through a program of works.
يشمل برنامج الأشغال هذا المشروع التطوير واستغلال محيط بركين كتلة 404.
The program for this project includes the development and exploitation of the Birkin Basin, blocks 404 and 208. In particular, works of high intensity, three-dimensional seismic survey, drilling of 100 oil wells, converting 46 wells into wells using WAC technology, completion of blueprint studies, guidance and improvement of facilities performance, implementation of oil field digitization solutions, implementations of 2 pilot projects, as well as environmental projects to reduce carbon footprint.
وكذا مشروع بيئية ومشاريع بيئية خاصة بالحد من بصمة الكربون.
An estimated $4 billion will be deployed for the implementation of the development and exploitation plan.
يقدر إجمالي حجم الاستثمار المدرج في خطة.
The total investment volume included in the development plan for this project is estimated at about $4 billion and will enable the extraction of an additional volume of approximately 1 billion barrels of oil equivalent, allowing to raise the average recovery rate to 55%.
إلى 55%.
The conclusion of this contract reflects the willingness of all parties to pursue their partnership within the contractual perimeter of Birkin and develop their cooperation through a stronger seek of new partnership opportunities. Sonatrach will not stop here, but will also invest 3 or 4 more projects by the end of the year, according to the Minister of Energy.
According to the High Commission for Planning, Morocco is aiming to borrow $3.8 billion from abroad. This move will raise the share of external debt in 23.6%, the general debt tool of the 40.4% of the domestic income, with an addition of 8.5% this year. After the meeting that gathered the Chief of Staff of the Libyan Army, Mohammed al-Haddad, and the Chief of Staff Haftar Nadouri on Monday morning, the East and the West powers are working on unifying the military command as the talks discuss the necessity of unification of army commands and working on grouping the two sides of the conflict in Libya, which has been living a long time military confrontation. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has arrived in Paris for a meeting with the French counterpart Emmanuel Macron today as part of the 2-day European tour that includes France and Romania. The Palestinian news agency reported that Abbas and Macron will discuss political developments in the region and bilateral relations between the two sides. The two leaders will also discuss ways to provide the appropriate atmosphere to achieve peace and the Zionist occupation of the Palestinian land. Togo agrees to help Mali resolve its dispute with Abidjan over the 49 Ivorian soldiers detained in Bamako. These soldiers, arrested on the 10th of July at the airport of the Malian capital, are accused by the authorities of the transition of being mercenaries. Côte d'Ivoire is calling for their release without delay and says their presence in support of MONUSMA operation was well known to the Malian authorities. Sudanese security forces fired tear gas and thousands of Hausa protesters marched in central Khartoum on Tuesday, days after tribal clashes killed dozens in southern Sudan's Blue Nile state. According to Sudan's health ministry, fighting between members of the Hausa and Fonj tribes, which started last week, is to blame for at least 105 deaths and 246 injuries. 70,300 people, according to the UN, were displaced. And that's all we have for now. Now let's have a reminder for our main top stories. Sri Lankan lawmakers choose 6-time Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as President Wednesday. Heat waves scorching Europe fell northward to Britain and fueled vicious wildfire in Spain and France, while Texas wildfire to continue growing. European customers are still looking for an alternative of Russian gas, which has been cut for more than 10 days for maintenance purposes. Sudanese security forces fired tear gas as thousands of Hausa protesters marched in central Khartoum. That's all we have now. Thank you so much for being with us. Bye-bye.